Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll get started in a minute. We'll just hang in here just a few more seconds, let everybody kind of join in. I appreciate your time today, though. Okay, let's get started. So I'm James Harris with the Race Day team and RaceJoy. I've been doing RaceJoy since its foundation. And I'll be working with Shelly today to show how RaceJoy can be used for virtual events. And some of the things that we'll be showing is actually doing a virtual event with RaceJoy and actually how to submit your results. So a lot to show you today, a lot to go through. But one thing I want to kind of step back and say, definitely this is a trying time for all of us in the industry. And, it's been interesting as I've been running around in my neighborhood and just kind of getting out there and getting some sunshine and fresh air. I've noticed a lot of people out running that I'd never seen in my past. And so I feel that there's going to be pent up energy over the next few months. And we need to find creative ways to provide as race organizers, as timers, for people to still safely go out and do runs, solo runs, and yet still be engaged and connected in some way to the friends and family. And also to be able to look at the results and things that as a part of doing that. So what you're doing is you're kind of giving opportunity over the next few months for people to have something to look forward to, give them an experience. And really what we're going to show you today is how to do that using RaceJoy and your events. And again, our goal here is to help you as race organizers, as timers. How can we give you the tools that you need to do to get through this time and really embrace the situation that we're in and provide for maybe some better moments for people as they're going through this time. So I'll be working with Shelly Harris today. Turn my video off again as the internet gets very busy during these times. We hope that we won't have any problem with GoToMeeting and all, but I'll turn my video off here. And like I said, I'll be presenting here today with Shelly. We've got a lot of material to cover, and we're going to be going through not only what it is, but how it looks and how it works. The other thing is I'm sure there'll be questions as we go. We'll probably hit most of the questions at the end, but please feel free to ask your questions and kind of queue those up, and then we'll get into the questions as we go along.
Yeah, and this is Shelly Harris. Welcome, everybody. Thanks. We've got a great attendance. If you have questions, just enter them in the chat area, and we'll try to answer them along the way, as James said. So let's get started. So clearly, we have a unique situation here, and we have this the situation where we see races and timers alike are trying to adjust their strategy, to really reduce the cancellations and continue to have some revenue coming in. And we're hoping that RaceJoy is going to help you do that. We've actually adjusted things very quickly on RaceJoy to support that virtual experience. So what we've been talking to, different races and timers, and what we've been hearing is that they're really looking for a way to create a tangible race experience to help justify the price that they're offering, and to also differentiate from these other virtual events that are popping up everywhere, and to create an opportunity to have repeat revenue, different events, and have the runners come back for another event. And all the while supporting these safety measures that are now in place, and they're continually changing. So you need a flexible solution that's going to be able to address the unexpected. So at the same time, as James was mentioning, people are already reporting that they're running more. They're getting, because most people that are stuck in their homes don't have a gym. They don't have gym equipment. So really, there's a lot of new time runners getting out there. And all of us want and need this social engagement that we're just not able to have as much of. And as always, we're creating that self-achievement and positive experience. So we really feel that at this time, we don't know how long things are going to go on. Let's take advantage of it while we can, and use this as an opportunity to help all of us that really are craving that experience. So this over on the right, you'll see that's kind of an image of the app, and how people what they see when they're tracking someone. They'll see blue dots move on the course. And just to back up, for those of you that aren't familiar with RaceJoy, RaceJoy is a mobile app that RunSignup offers to any event. You don't have to use RunSignup's registration platform. Obviously, there's going to be benefits with that, and I'll get to that in a moment. However, it is a mobile app for tracking runners live on the course. They do carry their phone and then activate their tracking. So they would have to turn on their tracking. But it does provide remote social engagement. So it's a safe way to embrace the spectators, which are your future registrants for your future virtual events, because they're going to see, wow, they're doing this. I want to do that. And then it's also provides that solo participant with live support, because they're getting progress updates at every mile. They're giving you, they're also giving you, or you're able to support them with different information. And then you can also use race management tools and news alerts and so forth in RaceJoy to help support your experience. And likewise, the other thing I wanted to mention, sorry, I got distracted there, is that RaceJoy has been tried and tested with more than 1 million users, and over the last 7 years. And the reason why I share this is because I was actually talking to someone yesterday about there was an app that they were, a new app on the market, and I would just caution anybody, and I share this from my personal experience. The technology with tracking is actually
Shelly.
difficult. Yes.
Yes. I think your screen is not shared.
Oh.
Sorry, break in on you, but.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I heard that there was a Slack, but I didn't.
Yeah, we'll get all the slides out to everyone if they missed any slides, but you can keep going from there then.
Oh, thank you very much. So I appreciate that. So, I would just caution you trying a new technology, especially in this what we're facing today, is just, you don't want it blowing up on you. If it's been out, obviously, then I would definitely go for it. But I wouldn't be using new technology right now, because there are just a lot of different things and nuances that they would need to overcome. So. Okay, so one of the things we wanted to make sure to share is there's some different nuances with RaceJoy. So one of them is that we need specific dates, and typically that would be 3 to 7 days. Or you can have it on a single day, but you probably want to spread things out just so that you don't have, overload of runners in a particular location. And then the other aspect is that we need specific course maps, and you can have multiple course maps. You can have as many as you want, but we need to have specific course routes for them to run. And we do suggest having multiple if you have larger events. And so this is different than, kind of the traditional virtual type of events where they can just run anywhere at any time. But there's a benefit for you, given the atmosphere that we have, and that is that you're creating more of an official race experience that you can then market as a different experience. So they're not just running anywhere. It's a real race experience, so you can have multiple events. So it actually works in your favor, and it helps us to create more of a mobile race experience. The other aspect is that races are to go through RaceJoy certified timers, and I'll get to that in a little bit more, but they've been trained on RaceJoy and how to configure the maps and how to do all the timing configurations, and they will help you build your events. So that's important to know, and again, I'll talk about how to find out if your race is certified and what to do if they're not.
And just to really underline, this is really the key thing, just to say right at the beginning, you're going to see this experience today as we show how RaceJoy is being used. The real key differentiator here is that you're providing them courses in your area, and you can have multiple of them, and you're putting it over a duration of time that it's available. So you're really providing them a service, and you're giving them an experience, and that's the key kind of differentiator. It's not just go run somewhere and tell us how long you ran and give us a time. It's, hey, we built this experience for you. Go check out this place, go run it, and then give us your result.
So what are the participants and spectators? So this is something I've been talking to a lot of events about, is that they want to add, a different, how do I add to their experience? And that's what RaceJoy is designed to do. It's a mobile event. So basically it's tracking the runner's position on the course. It's their true position on the course on your course map. So they'll be able to see where they are on your course map. There's the remote cheer sending that I mentioned by spectators, audio progress updates at every mile without timing equipment. And this is important to the timers out there, that they can provide this without having to go out on the course. They can do it from the safety of their home. And then we have the virtual results integration, and that we'll get into a little bit further, but working with RunSignup's results platform, and also, or you can have your finishers submit their results, and then you can have those results automatically displayed in RaceJoy. So you'll have live results in RaceJoy, and they'll be scored results based on the finishers' submitted times. We also have audio off-course alerts, and this is key for the virtual events, because if you have multiple courses, RaceJoy will notify them that they've gotten off course. And then we also have an interactive course map, so people can at any time go and look at the course map to see where they are. They can go zoom into Street View and so forth, and help navigate their way along the course. So send a cheer. This is one of our key features in RaceJoy, and it actually throughout the years has grown to be just as important as the live tracking. So we have a lot of fun campy cheers loaded into RaceJoy that they can send, but they can also type in a message, we call it text to cheer, that then is played in audio format. So this is really key to help provide that social interaction, but remotely for your participants. And I have one that's loaded. So there's a lot of campy cheers, like I said, and you can play around with it and check it out yourself. But typically there's thousands of cheers going on for a given event. So this just shows a progress alert. If as a participant crosses mile points on the course, progress alerts will go out to those tracking them, and this is what it looks like. It's an in-app alert, and then the participant, as they cross mile points on the course, they will then get audio updates along the course with their performance information.
You are at mile 8. Total time 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 16 seconds. Split pace 8 minutes, 46 seconds. Average pace 8 minutes, 32 seconds. Estimated finish time 1 hour, 51 minutes, and 47 seconds.
Okay, so, and then this shows you, and this I actually didn't mention, but if you're using RunSignup's Race Day results, you can have results issued in text or email. So it actually expands beyond the app. And this just shows you what that would look like. So you actually using that result, and I thought it'd be important to share. There'll be more information about this coming out, but I thought it'd be important to share that it does expand beyond the app if you use the results. And then James is going to go through these more, the participants, spectators, kind of a demo, what it looks like for GPS tracking, the interactive course maps, and the virtual results submission.
So for today's demonstration, we've set up an April Fool's event. It actually starts on April Fool's and goes through the following Monday. So it starts in the middle of the week, Wednesday. It's a really good example. Set up an event that goes over a weekend and kind of includes multiple things in an area for someone to go out and run and also submit your results. And so one of the key things we're going to be showing later is how you really are in charge of all this content. Really important to, at this time, to communicate what a virtual event looks like and what the guidelines are for that. And so you can really set that up. And, what I've set up here is literally just blanketed an area with all starting at this park, which has good parking, and just really giving lots of different options to run. So this keeps people segmented from everybody. It gives them different distances, and somebody that wants to go a little bit longer, they can do that. And so really gives them lots of different options. It'll let you spread out not only based on time, as we said, we went from Wednesday all the way to the following Monday, but also different course options. So there's still this ability to kind of do an experience. And then kind of keep everybody, separated from everybody. So they'll come in, again, just like normal race day, and they'll start their clock. This will set their personal time, and then their blue dot will show. And so if you were monitoring this on our back end, I'm gonna show what that looks like. So let's say this is April Fool's Day, and we come in, we'd be able to kind of see, you know, people out on the course and what they're doing and so forth. We'll see it pop up here in a second. Some dots come up.
So in the phone, this is what it would actually look like in the phone as well.
So this one was actually gray and then it's inactive. When this person was actually moving, it would be blue and kind of moving through your course, and you'd be able to kind of see those different virtual runners running your different course options. And you can do that through our monitoring area. But as far as the participant goes, it's really an easy experience for them. It's the same experience that they normally have, and they just you know, click their start button and you know, do the event. And then when they're done, they can submit that result, again, using the RunSignup virtual results engine. I'll show you what that looks like now. So we have an experience built here. You can build custom banner ads, and we'll have it loaded. If it's a virtual event, they'll be able to come in and post their virtual result. And they just need to look up, based upon the registration, you know, who is it that was registered for this particular virtual event, and then be able to submit an actual time. So I'll be able to come in here and like maybe say, you know, I did this in 45 minutes and 30 seconds to submit their time. When they submit their time, it will be available not only on the web page that you built, and it'll be part of your results, but it will also be available in RaceJoy. And so they'll be able to come in and see how they've placed overall in the leaderboard of that event, and you know, kind of compare themselves to different people that have run that particular virtual event. And so again, it's a very nice experience in terms of like, I go and do a virtual run, I submit my time, and then I can kind of compare myself to other people that ran that virtual course that you've set up, and again, separated by time and you know, different times of the week that they've done that. One of the things, the key aspect of this is that you really are providing them a course, and you're providing them off-course alerts. And then in a minute, we'll talk about and show how you can set up geo-based messages. And we'll show a couple examples. Should I do that now? Or?
No, this is showing the interactive course map as well. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to just kind of show that as well. And then yeah, I think you covered everything.
Okay, great. So again, your certified timers know how to set all this up. They're able to really quickly build these maps out. It really is just about putting different options available during that time frame.
Okay, so we'll go over now what do race organizers and timers receive on the back end. So that was all the experience for the participant and the spectator. So for race managers and timers, you have a monitoring dashboard that James just mentioned, where you'll get an out-of-view glance of all the runners and walkers using RaceJoy across all your courses. You can dial into mile points to see the performance. You'll have a progress board and some other tools like off-course alerts. You can see if there's a location that's having a trouble spot. You can schedule geo audio points on the course. And for virtual events, this is very helpful because then you can schedule directional cues at certain points. You can also engage and support participants and help them to feel that they're not alone on the course. You know, for instance, we have, you know, the routes around here we're in Florida, and so if they're running by a lake, you could even just do something funny like watch out for the alligators next to you, or something, just to add to let them know that you know where they're at, and to help them feel supported by the race organizers. So we see a lot of events, even if there's a tough part on the course, or if you're halfway along the way, you can add these kind of different types of files at those points. We also have custom content sections that you can add information, important information about the race and things that you want to communicate to people about, maybe your guidelines and so forth. So this is just kind of showing you at a glance that race monitoring system. You would access it through your desktop computer or laptop. And again, it gives you the global view of things. It also gives you access to a lot of different tools like news alerts and action points like sending messages and so forth. again, you can get off course, you can see all your off course alerts and know if there's a part on your course that you need to maybe go out and put some signage out there that people are getting off course
or
at.
more importantly, just maybe add a directional cue, or you might need to change the course that you loaded.
Yeah. And then you can also use our route replay tool to, verify people's GPS time if they've used RaceJoy. This is showing over to the right, the leaderboard and the progress board, so you can see the number of people who have come through using RaceJoy at different points. So RaceJoy is going to, RaceJoy, James is going to show you kind of like, this is what it looks like on the back end.
Yeah. So at this point, I do want to kind of step and kind of talk about setting up a virtual event. We're going to give you a number of resources at the end of this that have been set up by RunSignup for how to set up virtual events, how to enable virtual results, and so those resources and those webinars will be available. We'll give you links at the end. But one of the things I want to make clear here is it doesn't necessarily have to be a virtual event that is just set up for a given time. As we talked about in the beginning, one of the things that you want to avoid right now is you've had an event that's been canceled, and you're trying to think about a way to creatively still provide something around that event. And so what you can do is you can transform that and just make it available with the same courses, but just maybe make it available over a larger time frame, and then also kind of set up your own guidelines about how you want people to kind of do that. And so again, really think about your different events in terms of what you want to provide, different course options during a given time frame. And what you'll see is that when you go to set up RaceJoy, for those timers that are listening in here, you really want to set it up so that the duration of the tracking is really the maximum duration that you want to make available. And so you'll set up these different courses, and you'll say, I want this to be available for 6 days, 1,440 minutes every day, and just kind of figure out your tracking period, and that's the best way to set it up. So after that, it's pretty much the same that you've already been doing. You just do your course maps and you set up your geo points and so forth. So definitely during this time, taking advantage of some of the more advanced features of RaceJoy will be important. We talked about directional cues, especially on these virtual runs. Another one is just adding to the experience a little bit with messages that you want to be delivered. And so this is one example of something that can be delivered at the end of it. And it would then read the message off. I was in the browser before, so I didn't. But basically, it would, sorry about that, it messed up on the demo, but it would read off this message. Hey, way to stay strong moving forward during these times. Please remember our virtual run guidelines and do not congregate in groups. And thank you for completing our virtual event. Stay safe. And so that would be read off to them using text-to-speech technology in their phone when they're done. So you can kind of pre-schedule these using a combination of audio clips that you load and then also messages. And then again, be creative. It really is the time for us. We're going to be solo runners out there, and we're just looking for a way to break up the monotony of these months and have an experience, and you're providing that experience for them.
And so this would be something that you would get with your timers unloading. We do have how-to videos on that. If you wanted to work with them on that, you're welcome to do that. There is one thing on the setup that Wizard set up that was a little different that you had mentioned before about the
yeah, so again, when you're setting up your virtual events, you will set up all the events to be of virtual type. This will be important when you get to setting up the results. The other thing you want to do is don't put a distance in. You can put the distance in on the description like I did here, but you don't want to put a distance here, because what happens is you want to really set up the tracking period to be much larger and control that duration on the RaceJoy setup. And so you saw by me not putting this distance here, I'm able to actually specify the tracking duration on the RaceJoy setup. And so it's a little bit of a nuance there, and important for the timers to know that. So really just set up your courses, put the descriptions the way you want them, and then they'll show in RaceJoy with those different course descriptions, and then set your duration, the tracking, how long do you want this to be available out there for people to use as a virtual event, and let them set the, and start it and end it as they choose. So that's really the only special nuance for the virtual events. So in terms of setting up your content, again, all this has been available on RaceJoy, but really much more important at this point. Shelley showed an example here of, really putting in kind of guidelines about what it means to go out and run a course and really following. Running USA has been doing a lot of good articles. The Running Magazine, RRCA. There's a lot of good guidelines that you can read on how to safely run outside. Again, there's a lot of research that also says sunshine and fresh air is very important during this time to build up your immune system. So, these are all things that you can kind of communicate in your content area and kind of build that out. Again, you always have available the ability to build banner ads. These will be loaded automatically. If it's a virtual event, you'll get your results and your registration banner ads added. But, other things can be done. So you still have an opportunity to get some sponsor dollars for these virtual events and add banner ads and so forth.
So the other, if you look over, if you could scroll up over the RaceJoy section, over to the left, you have all these different tabs that you can go to. So you would go to custom options to adjust your event information, or we actually added an FAQ that is like, what are your coronavirus guidelines? So you can add those types of information, your FAQ, if your schedule, any kind of information that you want to provide in your event info. And then if you go back to the tabs, if you look over to the left under monitoring, that's your place to go to. This is your place to go to that you can monitor things from the safety of your home and at any time to see all the runners that are out on the course. And you can, over to the left, and James just showed that is showing the progress board. But if you go all the way to the left, up in the left corner of the screen, you can drop down to see the different routes that are taking place. And that would show you the different, and you can open up different windows so you can see, have all your screens open. But then use the course actions to see different things about that route. So if you click on course actions, and you have all that, you can search for a participant, you can send a message. And we'll get into the send a message in just a moment. But this is definitely, a helpful area for you to see. And you can take pictures of this and show it on your Facebook and Instagram and so forth. So it's a nice way to show that, you have runners out on the course.
In a safe way. And then you're generating awareness that this is happening, and then maybe you schedule another one for a couple weeks later.
Okay, so with that, we're going to talk about the communication options within RaceJoy. So this is clearly very important right now. There's so many, things are changing on the fly, and all of us need to be able to communicate with our participants and the spectators and sometimes spectators at any given moment. So with RaceJoy, you have several options. One of them is you have this kind of what we call our mass official news, and that's where you can pre-schedule or send messages on the fly in the news area on that RaceJoy section that we just covered. This can be content, links, graphics, videos, whatever you want to include. But we definitely would recommend that you include something about your guidelines for running your virtual course. It's helpful for you to have things in writing too, in case there's any questions about it. The more you have it in writing that you have covered yourself and that you are doing everything possible to make it a safe course, the better. These are issued as in-app alerts, and then they're stored in the buzz area of RaceJoy. And then, as James mentioned, you have banner ads, so you can, if you need to communicate, sorry, this has been closed, maybe you have a route that goes through a park, and the park decided that they're a national park, they're going to close. You could say, we have a new route, and look at your map. So that's definitely kind of those banner moments. You can use the banner ads. And then we have direct audio messages capabilities, where you can send audio messages to selected individuals, to a group, or to everybody in the course. You don't have to know their phone numbers. You just go straight through the dashboard and you type in the message, and it's issued real time. So these are all really great tools at this time for you to have at your disposal. Again, you can go through from your monitoring system from the convenience of your home. You can do all of these types of tools, and we're going to showcase that now.
So this particular event, we went ahead and loaded up news alerts, kind of to illustrate what Shelly's saying. So, you have your run safety guidelines, and you're going to kind of cover your base, make sure you're documenting things and you're showing this on your website in the app in different places. So any county officials and stuff are looking at what you're doing. You have this kind of guidelines that you put out. So again, following all the good running rules that have been put out already, and this all can be changed on the fly. So sending those newsletters out, just letting people know that this is what this is how we do our safe virtual runs. And so those would be something that you could schedule and have go out. So looking at the dashboard, it's real easy. It's just here on your news area, and you just set them up and schedule them as you need. And
you can put them in draft mode, so you can have contingency plans. If you think that something's going to be closed or something like that, you can set something up just in case.
Yep. So you can definitely set up things in draft. You can set up for a given scheduled time to go out and so forth. And so that's the news alert area. And then the direct communications is really important. Shelley was talking about. So I can just look at everybody that signed up to do the 4.5 miler. I can just come in here and just send them only a message. So everybody that's signed up for the 4.5, you can just send out a quick blast to them saying, hey, we've altered the course. Make sure you look at your map before you get going. And that would be a really good way to communicate with just those people that signed up for that particular course.
If you, just kind of a tip, if you do send something that's really important to people, I would suggest typing it in twice so that they make sure to hear it.
And and you can also, if you see something and you just don't like what's going on right now with an individual, you can also send that individual directly a message and just do that right from here.
So if you happen to see a whole bunch of blue dots move are all together, you can click on all those dots and send a group message to everybody saying,
and the way to do that is that wouldn't be on the individual here. You would just come here, you'd have them all in your view, and they're all kind of active, and so I'll just show you that. So the way to send it to the group is just, again, come up here to send a message and then just say only those currently tracked in view and then tip it, and that will go to the group.
Yeah. And so you could say, we need you to clear out. Please make way for the other runners coming in.
Yep.
So. And I think you already covered the banner ads and in the official news, so that's it. Okay, so as I mentioned, RaceJoy is available through Race Day certified timers. And the way you do find out if your timer is certified is that there's a link here that will be sent to you, but you can find it on RunSignup's website under, I think it says features and then timer, find a timer. And if you see this badge over to the right, then they are certified, and it says RaceJoy certified is what you're looking for. If they're not certified, we're offering a free training on March 31st, and you can let them know about it. If for some reason they're not able to get certified, then just get with us and we'll get you in touch with somebody that is certified. And then for the timers on the call, if you haven't received certification, please join us on March 31st. We were charging $500 for this, but in light of the situation that we're all facing, we are providing this free for timers to help support their business during this trying time. And then your responsibility would be to set up the RaceJoy for the virtual events. And you would load the course maps and timing configurations. You would load in the geo-based audio files and be the point of contact for the race. And then just to mention, for the races on the call, you don't have to use RunSignup for registration. However, you will have a better price if you do use RunSignup for registration, because the timers get a better price for races that are on RunSignup. So here's some questions here, and if we want to maybe go through and see if there's any questions from people. But one of the questions that we typically get is, does RaceJoy integrate with registration data? And the answer is no. It does at the end when we're doing, at the results, but it's an opt-in model, and that is very helpful for everybody. They don't have to have their bib numbers. It's just the participant goes in, signs up their own profile, and then it's up to them if they want to use RaceJoy, and then they have to turn on their tracking, so that they download RaceJoy, and then they enter your event in the app, and they set up their own profile.
And that's very important from a privacy basis. A lot of people will set up a pseudonym and be tracked that way during the virtual event, and then they still can see the result. Because as I showed earlier, when they're submitting that virtual result, they actually look up their registration at that point, and the result will be tied to the registration data and shown in RaceJoy. But it really gives you kind of a flexibility in terms of how you set up to be tracked and then how you look at your results. We'll come to all that.
Okay, we'll come to the questions in just a moment. We do have a lot of good questions. What if there's port or little cell connections? We've done a lot of work in this area. If the participant is going through a poor cell zone, they will continue to get those progress alerts at every mile because that's based on GPS technology. When they re-enter a functioning cell zone, we store up and we queue that information, all those progress alerts, and then that gets issued out to anybody tracking them and you to your monitoring system. And then we have some links if you want to get some help. And again, we'll be issuing this out to everybody on these other topics here. But for now, let's go through these questions.
Yeah, so really good questions today. Thank you so much for all the good questions, and we'll just kind of go through those now. So the first one I want to kind of hit is, yeah, as Shelly covered, you will be using a timer to provide the service during this time, as always, and really just need to find out if your timer is race day certified, and if not, we have an opportunity for training again, just to repeat, March 31st for those timers to become certified and be able to offer RaceJoy at a very good part of their service. And then if you don't have a timer that wants to do that even, we have lots of timers that are more than willing to do this work at this point. So I really like this question from Dave out in Texas. Thanks so much for this. Absolutely, you could set it up if you wanted to go for 3 weeks. Again, it's that duration. I recommend personally that we kind of keep this limited more to like 3 to 7 days type periods. You're trying to provide an experience. I would recommend that you might think about what it means for you to set up an event and the price for that event and the time. And again, trying to think of ways to create a little bit of revenue, $5 type, per registration or something. Just you're giving them an experience, you're giving them something to do. And again, we think, and we've been seeing a lot of evidence out there, a lot of people are being very creative about how to provide some bling for these experiences, things that you can provide to them after the event and still make it, somewhat like them doing a race, but they're just not doing it all together at the same time. Yeah. So, yeah, so again, this very great question. Again, what's different about RaceJoy than other training apps is that we are based on a path. So if you want to just do a virtual event and you don't want to have to work with paths, then you would just have them use their training app, submit their time, and as on the slide behind here, it says what are the different ways they can submit their virtual results. That'll be a webinar tomorrow. There's actually different navigations. You don't have to do it from RaceJoy. You can actually do it right from your profile. You can do it in different ways. And so again, lots of virtual events, just put up a virtual event. Everybody just goes and runs anywhere they want. It's not based on a path, and then submits their time.
And there's a blog on that too that you can read today. So, and are people actually outdoor running on these courses, or are you simply showing? I can't see this.
Yeah, so our whole point here is that you could provide for different course options over a given time and then let them actually run that course and submit their time, and then you will see that actual replay on the monitoring, and you can look at, over this last week, how many people ran that course, and again, everybody's scored results will show, and so it's like in the Peloton class, when I go watch all the people that have done this Peloton class, I can see the overall leaderboard, and same concept here with RaceJoy. You're just providing them different course options to do.
Yeah, I think we answered that.
Yeah.
So what's the minimal amount of
you
maps?
could do just one. That's not a problem. Yeah, it's not a problem.
Just in case people didn't hear me, the minimal amount of maps is just one.
Yeah.
and we had someone ask, what's the maximum? There really is no maximum, but you do need to provide electronic versions of those course maps. So they do need, and they need to be built out. So you just take that in mind. And the price that the timer will end up providing to you will be based on the number of course maps that you have, and the length and the complexity of that.
And that really becomes the conversation with your timer about, how many courses are we going to put out for this particular virtual period, and how much work is involved in setting up those different courses. Yes, so they definitely type in their own time. They will see, this is important. I was showing, let me just go back to that screen here. So again, what's different here is that we're measuring their time on this course from the time they hit start until it automatically finishes at finish. So they'll get a GPS scored time when they become in proximity to the finish point. They'll see that on the screen. They'll be able to click on the banner to go submit that result for themselves and then post that time that they see. It'll show right here their time, and they can just go post that time, and then it'll actually be scored against everybody else virtually that has done that particular course.
No, it's not locked in. The participant's time is not locked in from RaceJoy. They go in, they personally type in that time. So say if they accidentally hit the start my race button late or early, and they're just tracking it maybe on their watch or something, they can use whatever time they want. So it's not locked in.
It is a good question, Benjamin. We are looking, again, things are evolving quickly in this virtual space. One of the things that we are looking at is how to, I showed you the upload web experience for putting in your time. One of the things that will probably be coming out in the next 3 to 6 weeks is the ability for them to add photos. So say, hey, it's like, again, trying to give them something fun to do. I went out there and I did this run, and then I can upload my result, and I can also upload some fun photos from that. And again, just trying to get through these trying times and give them somewhat of an experience. And so that'll be added. The other thing that has been discussed is how we could take our GPS time and maybe auto-populate things. And so these are all great ideas, and we're looking at things that we can do.
So what is the largest race you've held virtually? Well, our largest race that we've done with RaceJoy is Philadelphia Marathon. Virtually, we actually, in a market that we've targeted, we actually are rebuilding our tools, and we made some minor investments in the back end. So it's a whole new world as it is for you. For the foundation features, there are no changes. So it's the same. So it's using the same technology. The only thing that's different is that we opened up the window of time the tracking can occur.
It's really control time and course options. So the longest course that we've ever been tracked on is close to 300 miles. And, again, the number of users that we've had in a given course is much more than we're going to have during this period that we're living in.
And I think we answered that one.
Okay. So courses versus allowing. Can you give us your thoughts on courses allowing people to pick them around? So again, what we're recommending here, especially as events get rescheduled and you're just thinking of a way to not have to cancel the event totally, is maybe changing the event in June to be over a week's period and provide all the different course options you normally would, and just ask for people to space out the time that they go. Is one thought on that. And sorry, our sound keeps cutting out. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. And then Benjamin again. Yes, so that's a really great question. All the different course options or event options that you set up are just the setup. When they come into RaceJoy and they create their profile, they're just creating their own profile, and they can select, it's not based on registration. Very good, very important question. When they set up their profile, they get to choose, what things they're going to do. And so I could come in and say, you know what, I'm going to do all 4 courses over this next week, and I can select all 4. So it really has nothing to do with the registration. It's just really a matter of them coming in and saying which course they want to do for your virtual race.
Yeah, so we're not able to control them doing it. So say if they only paid for one course, we're not able to control them whether or not they do other courses. But
Yeah, so a great question from Susan. Thank you for this. And this is really what I was trying to talk about. You've already got this traditional event. You're dealing with this really difficult period that we're in, and how can you maybe convert that into a virtual event as part of the event? And so I've had a couple of companies already do that. I did one last week. So really, it's really about being creative and thinking about how to provide experience during this time in a safe manner where people can go at different times over a longer period.
But the way you would do it, Susan, in RaceJoy is that we just need to adjust the duration of it, and also the dates. Or I'm sorry, the distance. Yeah.
She would need to set everything to be virtual course site.
Yeah. And if you need other assistance, just contact us. We're happy to help.
Can you publish your race info as a template for us? Yeah, so again, that content was something that Shelley put together really quickly.
I just kind of made that up. I said no high fives, you know. I don't know if anybody saw that.
I love the one from RRCA. It said, no more of the blowing of your nose. What do they call that? Horse blowing or whatever it is. I thought that was great.
Throwing tissues down.
Yeah, so there is the ability to.
So we have a question of what if a participant doesn't finish their route in one run?
Yeah, no.
Can they pause it and come back?
So we are different in the training app. Once you hit that start button, you can reset it up to a certain point. But once we kind of detect that you're out on the course and you pass like mile 1 and so forth, you really can't reset it other than just resetting your profile. You could go back and change your profile and reset it that way, but
there is no pause.
Yeah, there's no pause.
Yeah, there's no pause. They gotta, once they start, they gotta finish it.
That's a great question, because that is definitely a training app
thing. And that's something we probably want to make clear, is that there is no pause. Once you start, you gotta finish. Yeah. Just like a real race. Yeah.
Will there be examples of alerts for these features? For the news alerts, I think she's asking for examples on that. Again, we're expecting the content to come from the race organizers and the timers as they work through this time and coming up with what the appropriate content is for your virtual.
Yeah, because everybody's doing things slightly different. So, but you can, yeah.
Yeah, so that was the same question here from multiple people. You know, one of the things I will say here, RunSignup has done a great job. If you haven't seen it, they've been building out a coronavirus best practices area. So yeah, maybe Shelley would take a whack at adding some content out there for people to pull from. That was announced in the blog yesterday in terms of check it out on RunSignup site. They have a really good support area there for you to think about communications and messaging, and we'll add some stuff there for RaceJoy.
And then the next question is, what do you expect? What do you suggest if you expect the current race course to remain closed beyond virtual race day? Well, I would suggest maybe trying to find a different course route if that course route is not being allowed to be used, and then trying to find multiple course routes and making it a virtual race, and putting in strict guidelines. I'm not sure what's blocking the virtual race, and this is Barb. If you wanted to send me an email directly.
Yeah. So again, we have to be very creative right now in terms of what's going on in your particular jurisdictions, and think about creating different safe places for people to go and do solo runs and provide for times that are separated in time.
Yeah, Barb said most parks are currently closed, and that's true, and I've been hearing more and more about that. So maybe finding a different route that's locally, one of the things that James was suggesting to someone is that, you have local runners and they do these routes that they do all the time. Maybe doing like, we have different routes that we just call it like, that's the Sunshine Loop because it goes down this Sunshine street. So maybe coming up with different loops that people do in the area in avoiding those parks that are kind of, tenuous right now. And so that's really the key thing here, is you're not trying to stage places where you need a lot of parking and all that, because really it's just a matter of over time having people go do different runs in a given area that that they would like to get out and have an experience on. And then we had a question about what's the price for becoming race day certified for timers. And again, it's right now it is $0. And we're doing that. We made a decision that we want to help the timers in the industry, and this is our goal is to help. RunSignup doesn't make money off of RaceJoy, as it is not enough by any means, but it's always been this value add type of service. So we're trying to see how can we continue to help races really, provide a different experience that's, going to be something positive, and also help those timers provide that for those races. What's the next question? There's a question about timer search. I know the timer search feature is right now by state and what states, and you control that on your timer dashboard, what states you cover. So I just recommend that you make sure you have your states covered. If you're a certified timer and want to be providing RaceJoy to other races, just send me an email, Shelley, SHELLY, runsignup.com, and I will put you on the list as for them to tap into.
And again, how many courses you want to limit, it's up to you and your timer and how much work you want to do. But you know, we've had events with 15, 16 different courses.
If you have already used RunSignup for your race, is there additional cost to switch your race to a virtual? If it hasn't occurred yet, or if it was canceled, I don't think there's any additional cost with that. No, you might want to get with your account manager on that.
Yep.
So yes, if you want to use RaceJoy, you would have to pay your timer for RaceJoy, and they determine the price based on the parameters of your race. And you can look at RaceJoy's standard price on the website to see you know, what the standard price is, but that's not going to be the timer's price. Now, if you're using, like I mentioned, if you're not using RunSignup for registration, their price goes up for those situations, so it would be more.
I have to say here, I'm sure in the market that we're in right now, that timer's really working with you, and we're all in this together.
So the bib numbers are optional. This is from Lindsay was asking, but what about the bib numbers? They're optional. They're just kind of a nice to have for people to find each other. So it's good for you, because if you haven't issued out bib numbers, and if you're not going to, you don't need to. So it's just something that they can always add in later.
But I will say on that point, again, I would invite you to go to the materials that'll be available at the end. There's a really good webinar that was done on Tuesday about setting up for virtual results. When you set up to actually do virtual results, you probably want to go ahead and just do auto assignment on the bibs, and just, again, you're not actually handing out bibs. You don't have to do that, of course. But just having a number associated with that participant will help the virtual results work a little better.
Okay. Can someone participate? Oh, if someone can, no, RaceJoy is designed to run it. We have a question if someone can run indoors, like on a treadmill. No, it isn't designed for that. We would encourage them to use Peloton or something. But yeah, it is designed to be outdoors and go along a course map.
Yeah, so definitely you can think about the different markers. The question is, how can you set up, you know, here's a good place to get water. Like, you know, it's a half marathon you set up, and here's a really good place. I know water's, like, there's a fountain. Like, I have a lot of runs that I do, and I know exactly where my water fountains are. So again, as a timer, race organizer, you know your area. Definitely put those cues on your map and give them audio cues. Like, you know, that's really helpful. Like,
water ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can set up markers all along your course map of any water stops, and if you're putting out porta potties or anything like that, you're able to add that. That's definitely something that would be very helpful for people to know, especially if you're just doing like a one-day event. To have those kind of tools out there, that's very helpful. And then you can do the audio files, and your timer can help you with those markers. But that is definitely, and I know a lot of you are adjusting your water or your refreshments policy, and many of you are just doing bottled waters that they can take, and no one's even giving them out. You don't have a volunteer there. You just have the water, and then they go refresh it, or they need to bring their own. So we see that seems to be the trend. So the cost for RaceJoy, you'll have to get with your timer on what that is.
So the webinar class tomorrow, again, just go to RunSignup/webinars, and you can see all the webinars that we have upcoming. We have one tomorrow. Again, all of our webinars are also recorded, and you can back and listen to those recordings. So again, signing up for classes is just a matter of going to that link.
And also, you can access all the upcoming webinars and recorded webinars on RunSignup's site under Learning, and then Webinars.
Yep.
And then the registration training, you would just register. There's a link for that, and you can search for that. I think it's called Timer Certification. It is an active event on RunSignup's platform, so you can go to that too. And Barb, I can also just email you that too.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, got that. And then, so the only cost associated with RaceJoy would be working with your timer and figuring, and they'll give you the price. For what main races have used RaceJoy? The main marathon, the
shipyard races,
all the shipyard race,
Main Coast, Main.
Old Port Marathon. Yeah, we have a lot of main races.
We were supposed to be but I'm not sure about that yet. Can you set up your race prior to being certified on 331? Absolutely, Kevin. Just go ahead and do it as a timer, and then we'll work with you. Again, we're all in this together.
Yeah, just get with us, and we can send you videos on how to do it. And if you have questions, we'll put you in touch with Kevin Lai, and he'll help you through it.
Yeah, and definitely just get things going. Get your event set up the way you want with the different events and the different course options and the different overall period, as we discussed. Check out the webinar that's at the end of the presentation about how to set up a virtual event.
And we had a question, can this be used in cycling events? Oh, most definitely, Nancy. We just were focusing on the running because it seems like that's where all the virtual seems to be going. And then we had a follow-up question from someone else, can it be used at duathlon? Yes, and it has been. So we actually had RaceJoy used in water events, paddleboard events, swimming events when they have the escorting kayakers and so forth. So it can be used for a number of events, and it's designed to do that. So. And let's see if there's any other questions, but thanks for everybody hanging in there with us. I'm hoping that this is a hopeful tool for you and that you're looking at this as an opportunity. We are here to help you. Feel free to contact us and if you have any questions or you need any assistance. So thank you, and together we'll get through this, and hopefully it will be a positive experience.
So again, Shelly Harris at RaceJoy.com is your contact, or Shelly at RunSignup.com, either one. We'll get right to her. If you had any follow-on questions or any more materials that you're looking for, just contact Shelly and she'll be more than happy to assist.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh,